Have you ever wondered why God takes so long to answer the prayer that sits closest to your heart? You pray, you hope, you wait, yet nothing seems to shift. And maybe, like David in Psalm 30:1, you've whispered, "How long, Lord?" You're not alone. Your confusion is real, and your frustration is honest. But hear me clearly. Delay is not God's way of punishing you. Sometimes it's simply the weight of a promise that hasn't fully matured. Sometimes it's the ache that shapes you before the blessing arrives. What feels like silence may actually be protection. What feels like distance may be the place where God is guarding you from what you can yet see. Before this message ends, you'll understand that His delay carries mercy, purpose, and deep intentional love. Let's step into that revelation together. There is something you need to let settle gently into your spirit. God's delay is never indifference. When heaven seems quiet, it's not because God has turned His face from you. It's because His timing carries a wisdom your heart cannot yet see. Isaiah 55:8 reminds us, "My ways are higher," which means His timing is higher too. More precise, more protective, more intentional than anything you could design. You may feel forgotten, but in reality, you are being guided with a care so detailed it would overwhelm you if you saw it all at once. What you interpret as silence may actually be God rearranging things in your favor. What you perceive as stillness may be Him holding back something that is not yet ready, or holding you back from something that would break you. So breathe. Release the fear that God has overlooked your prayer. He hasn't missed a single whisper. And in the next moments, you'll begin to see the prophetic wisdom behind His divine pause. One of the deepest truths about God's timing is this. Sometimes He delays because He is protecting you from what you cannot see. Psalm 121:7 declares that the Lord will keep you from all harm, and sometimes that protection comes wrapped in unanswered prayers. You may feel ready, you may feel impatient, but God sees the paths, the people, and the outcomes that are still hidden from your view. Proverbs 19:21 reminds us that many plans sit in our hearts, but it is the Lord's purpose that prevails because His purpose guards you. There have been moments in your life when you cried over what God withheld, not realizing He was shielding you from heartbreak, disappointment, or a burden you were never meant to carry. What you call a delay, heaven calls preservation. What you call waiting, God calls covering. So the pause is not punishment. It is protection. And once you understand His protective heart, you'll be ready to see how delay becomes preparation for what's ahead. What feels like a standstill is often God's sacred workshop, shaping you in ways you don't recognize yet. James 1:4 says, "Let perseverance finish its work, because there are qualities God can only form in the waiting." Delay is not wasted time. It is holy construction. In this season, God is strengthening the muscles of your faith, refining your character, stretching your capacity, and deepening your discernment. You think you're stuck, but truly, you're being shaped. Every quiet day is sanding down fear. Every unanswered prayer is carving out depth. Every moment of waiting is enlarging the space where the blessing will eventually rest. God prepares you before He places you, because premature blessings quickly become overwhelming burdens. So if it feels slow, it's because He is building you to last. You are becoming wiser, stronger, more grounded, more aligned with His heart. And once you embrace that, His delay is preparation. You'll begin to notice how this waiting season is transforming you from the inside out, readying you for what comes next. Delay has a way of exposing what your heart truly leans on. When God doesn't move as quickly as you hoped, the hidden foundations of your faith rise to the surface. Proverbs 3:5 calls you to trust in the Lord with all your heart, but it is in the waiting that this trust becomes real. Delay tests whether your confidence is in God's timing or in your own understanding. It reveals whether your hope is anchored in His promise or in the speed of the outcome. And Psalm 27:14 whispers, "Wait for the Lord. Be strong," reminding you that strength is forged in surrendered patience. Anxiety tries to convince you that nothing is happening, but anchored faith knows that God is working in silence. Delay invites you to release control, to unclench your hands, to let God be God. In this refining place, your trust is purified, your heart steadied, and your dependence on Him deepened. And once trust is restored, your identity shifts slowly and gently into who He intended you to become now. There are moments when God delays not to withhold, but to align. Romans 8:28 assures you that He is working all things together for your good, and that working often happens behind the scenes while you wait. Divine timing is not random, it is orchestration. God is positioning people, opening the right doors, closing the wrong ones, and preparing circumstances so that when the blessing arrives, everything will fit with precision. Misalignment leads to exhaustion, disappointment, and forced outcomes. But God loves you too much to let you settle in a place that doesn't match your calling. Delay is His way of ensuring that what is meant for you is actually ready for you and that you are ready for it. Every not yet is really heaven saying, I'm still arranging things. So instead of seeing the delay as a barrier, begin to see it as divine alignment. God's timing places you exactly where you need to be, with the right strength, the right support, and the right maturity. And once this alignment settles, your identity will rise with clarity and confidence. You need to hear this with your whole heart. You are not behind. You are being positioned. Jeremiah 29:11 reminds you that God's plans for you are intentional and filled with hope. And Ephesians 2:10 declares that you are His workmanship, created for good works prepared in advance. That means your life is not running late. Heaven is guiding your steps with precision. What feels like delay is really divine pacing. God is not slowing you down. He is aligning you with the path that carries your purpose. You are not overlooked, forgotten, or falling short. You are chosen, shaped, and placed exactly where growth is happening in you. Let the pressure fall off your shoulders. Let the comparisons fade. Let the lie of being behind lose its power. God is positioning you for something prepared, something appointed, something worthy of the person you are becoming. And from that truth, your destiny begins to take clearer shape. When God finally releases what you've been praying for, it won't arrive late. It will arrive perfect. Habakkuk 2:3 says, the vision awaits an appointed time, and when it comes, it will not delay. Breakthrough will rush in with clarity, peace, and confirmation that every moment of waiting carries purpose. What once felt heavy will suddenly make sense. Doors that refused to open will swing wide. The strength you gained in the waiting will meet the blessing you longed for. And you'll realize God wasn't withholding, He was completing. Before breakthrough, you felt stretched and unsure. After fulfillment, you will feel aligned, strengthened, and deeply seen by God. And from that place of clarity, you'll be ready to encourage others on their journey. Before we go further, I want you to stand in faith with others walking this same path. Psalm 37:7 invites you to be still before the Lord and wait patiently for Him. You're not waiting alone. You're waiting with a community that believes God is moving. If this message speaks to you, type I trust God's timing. Let your declaration shift you from fearful waiting into faith-filled confidence as we prepare for the final blessing over your heart today in faith. May the peace of God, the peace Philippians 4:7 says surpasses all understanding, rest gently over your heart right now. Where there has been turmoil, may His calm take over. Where there has been fear, may His assurance rise. I speak clarity over your steps and comfort over your spirit. You are not waiting in vain. You are waiting with God. May His presence steady you, guide you, and remind you that every delay carries purpose, and every purpose leads you closer to what He has prepared.